Hello and welcome to Comic Breakers, where we break down all things comic booky. I'm your first host, Nolan Vinoy.
And I am your second host, Brian Stork.
Brian Stork, wow. And we are here today to discuss the finale to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or Captain America and the Winter Soldier.
The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and the Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and the Baron, Zemo, and the Sharon.
Yep, and the Sharon. The most important part, one might say. I called this from the second that they announced this damn show, is that it was going to be called Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then the very final title card would say Captain America and the Winter Soldier. I said it way back, and no one really cared that I said it, but I did.
It's true. You said it since the day you were born, and
Since the day I was born.
I'm glad that they did that. I think that was really cool.
And back in 1997, they didn't even believe that there's going to be a TV show about Falcon. What?
And you also predicted the creation of the Winter Soldier, which was pretty cool.
I did. Yeah, I predicted the creation of the Winter Soldier. Yeah, Bucky was still dead then.
It sounds like you're talking about a real person. I do believe that this is a really good finale. I have several problems with it.
Yes, I do as well. The good things definitely outweigh the bad, but I think it's a good sort of microcosm of the whole show, actually. Yeah. I would say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. All the things that were problems remain problems. Maybe we'll do a compliment sandwich.
Okay.
We'll do a good thing first.
Okay. Give me your first good thing.
God, that suit is so fucking cool.
It is cool.
The Sam Cap suit. Goggles can be a little bit goofy from the wrong angle, but overall, very cool, very classy.
Yeah.
Love the way the wings are integrated. I love how comic booky they went with it. It's straight up just the suit.
It's exactly the same. Yeah. The goggles don't really bother me all that much. The only parts that bumped me were the white is just super bright. But even then, like, I kind of like that. I kind of like that it's really comic booky.
Yeah.
That's the thing about the MCU, is that they've really just sort of gone forward with the thought of, we're just going to do these suits accurately. We're not going to try to sort of dumb it down or make it feel realistic,
Yeah.
And they are succeeding. Like Mysterio worked, and this works,
Yeah, and I think also part of it for these newer suits, these newer characters, I think is also the comics meeting them halfway a little bit, where comic book costumes now are not as like garish spandex, like wild headpieces and stuff.
Right.
Like it's like the Sam suit feels like something you could see in real life,
Right. Yeah, for sure. And you know why that is, Brian?
Why is that?
Because it is a physical costume that someone did make for Anthony Mackie to wear.
I meant the comic suit, goddamn you.
Yes.
I do like that Anthony Mackie finally got to wear a super suit. He's been wanting to wear like a full-on superhero suit for a while. I'm glad that finally happened.
Yeah, I mean, if it's interesting, if you trace like his first outfit in the Winter Soldier, he's wearing a t-shirt and jeans, and then he's got the wings on top of that.
Yeah.
And then it upgraded slightly in Civil War, and then it upgraded again in the beginning of this to where it actually looks like a superhero costume, and now he's got the Captain America suit, and it looks wonderful.
We did last the entire show. Well, nope, that's not true. Damn it. I was going to say we lasted the entire show without Sam going on the run again, but when they were harboring Zemo, they were on the run, kind of.
Yeah, briefly, yeah.
So close to not being on the run for one movie or show.
My first compliment is the way that Sam carries himself as Captain America and the way that Anthony Mackie portrays it. Like, I believe everything that comes out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And that's the great quality about Steve Rogers. That's the great quality about Chris Evans' portrayal of Steve Rogers, is that you believe what he says. I would follow that man to the ends of the earth. And so that's exciting, especially now that Captain America 4 is officially in the works as a movie with Malcolm Spellman, who wrote this show. And so that's really, really exciting.
So the first thing that I thought was cool, before I knew that they were actually making a movie follow-up to this thing, because this is basically Captain America 4.
Right.
And I was curious. I was like, this really feels like they're setting up a season 2 of this show with how it ends. And I think a lot of that is good, but part of the reason why it feels that way is because there are a couple of arcs that feel very undercooked or weirdly left hanging in this. And the people I'm really talking about are Sharon, who I think we'll talk about more in depth in a sec. But Sharon and John Walker, I in the moment I really enjoyed all of John Walker's stuff in this finale. Being a little bit removed from it, I feel like it is a strange choice to offer him redemption. I don't know if he deserves it yet. I think for the message of the show, it's very strange that he doesn't face any consequences for anything. I go back and forth on it. I think it leaves him in an interesting spot for the future, but I really wish they'd locked him in jail.
Yeah. I don't know if I wish that they locked him in jail. I do feel like perhaps a more appropriate way to end. And I really like what happens with him in the episode, and I think it emotionally works in the moment.
Yeah.
I think the removal from it is maybe what causes one to sort of maybe give it a bit of pause. But I think it's interesting how well the filmmakers were able to do it to where, like, when you're watching it for the first time or the second time, you see him, that he's pulling the truck back up onto solid ground, and you're like,
great.
Oh, fuck yeah. You're like, fuck
it feels
wow.
really great.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me kind of question my own note. But I think, like, because I was watching it with I can report that Karen, who guested a couple episodes ago, I was watching it with her, and she was not happy.
Yeah, I figured she would.
With the fact that he gets off pretty much scot-free. I think and I think that's fair. I think that for me in the moment it really worked, but then looking at it as like a thesis on the kinds of people who try to be Captain America and what that means, I think he's lessened by having a redemption arc so soon.
And it's something I'm going to pitch for listeners out there. I'm going to pitch a U.S. Agent series soon.
Awesome.
And we're going to talk about what that is, and I'm going to continue the question of redemption around this character. We'll get there later. My detraction is just that, and we've been saying it the whole time, but the Flag Smashers just never really worked.
Yeah.
And it's clearly product of a missing plot line, but also it's just not quite really. It's just, I don't know if it even would really function if you did have that missing plot line. It's just they're just too paper thin. You just don't really see them doing anything to fulfill a philosophical goal or do anything positive at all. And so all you see is them, murdering, and then at one point they were transferring vaccines. But
I did hear a note from somewhere that you never once in the show actually see the Flag Smashers help anyone.
Yeah. And that's a problem. That's a problem if you're trying to set up sympathetic villains. Like, Sam's speech works. It works really well because, like, in the outside world, beyond this show, I agree with what he's saying.
Yeah.
It would just work better, however, if the people that he's talking about actually sort of lived up to what he's talking about, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes any sense, but
no, it does. And it's a wild missed opportunity or just mishandled, because I think even with another plot line in there, the beats that play out with these characters and with Carly specifically, they're just so irredeemable. It's crazy. It's wild that she's the one who's the first one to kill anyone with the Flag Smashers, that she's always the one who's pushing them toward murdering truckloads of people and doing all of this horrible stuff. It's her, and the others are like getting freaked out by her.
I don't know. It just never really clicked, and I was thinking it was eventually going to start to click, and it doesn't. And I just don't even know really what the solution is.
I really think it is having her goal just be more specific and seeing her be a Robin Hood figure and actually helping people visibly and seeing what the GRC is doing. Because one of the things that I think any of that. One of the things that I think makes Sam's speech work so well, and it really does, is that he brings up to the GRCs like, so you've been sending armed people to remove people from their homes and forcibly resettle them.
Yeah, if we'd
I
seen
wasn't
that, that'd have
clear
been
that
great.
that's what they were doing up until he says it just there. Because they
Right.
never show it. They never show what the GRC is doing. They never show Carly helping. So all we're seeing is a terrorist.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
wild. It's like we're seeing propaganda against the flag smashers.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
In a
it's
way.
crazy.
Yeah.
They really, the best they ever work is when Sam is talking about or to them.
Yep. I agree with that. For sure.
What's another compliment? I think
Another
we
compliment.
got pretty hefty into.
I think Bucky. There's a couple moments with Bucky that I really, really love. Obviously, I love him going and talking to Yori. I wish that scene was longer, but also it doesn't necessarily need anything more. I guess maybe more so. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall of that for that conversation. I think he gets this amazing moment when he breaks open the back of that truck and gets like the senators out, and the way that one of the senators says thank you to him and the way he reacts to that. Like, he's done plenty of heroic stuff in the last few years of his life, but he's never been thanked as a hero really ever. And I think that's amazing that he gets that moment, and it clearly means so much to him.
And that is kind of it was beautiful in the moment, but you saying that it does make me realize that he's done a lot of heroic stuff, but he's never directly saved another person who isn't like Steve or another hero or something.
Right.
This is like the first time that he's seeing a regular human being like thank him for saving their life.
Right. It's kind of
really
like
beautiful.
there's a couple cool little like, sort of Sam Raimi Spider-Man moments of like low to the ground hero things of like,
there's
you
one
got me
very
out of this
specific
truck.
Sam
And there's
Raimi
one
moment.
here's the thing is it's like, it's so corny, it's so cheesy, but I loved it.
Oh yeah.
I loved it.
It's when the truck falls and nobody can grab it. Sam flies up and manages to push the truck using 2 red wings. Now the coloring, I couldn't quite tell. Was it a red and a blue or a red and a white?
Because then that would imply
a red, white, and blue wing? There
should be 3. There must be 3. Unite the 3.
Unite the 3. You have to collect all 3 red wings. He pushes the truck back up and he flies up and there's all these people watching with like phone cameras and stuff. And one guy goes, "Oh, whoa, that's the Black Falcon," in reference to when they called him the Black Falcon before. And then another guy goes, "No, that's Captain America." Love it.
So silly, but wonderful.
It's literally the "you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us," like New Yorker thing. I love it. I think it's the perfect thing for that moment. It's hokey in the right way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Speaking of hokey in the right way, all of the stuff where it's Sam, the Sam and the helicopter thing, I think is a lot of fun. And I think his interactions with that one senator, I went back and I found her name, but I don't remember what it was. It didn't seem like any named person.
Right.
I loved all of that whole sequence where he's like finding the one who has flight training and then like getting himself in her ear and being like, all right, this is going to take precise timing, and then like shoving the guy out and her taking control. She was awesome.
She was awesome. She was super cool.
That's one of my favorite parts of the episode is just this almost unnamed councilwoman who's like a fucking badass.
Right. Truly, really badass.
Yeah.
Another Bucky thing. At the very beginning of the episode, when he's like walking past like the barrier, one of the officers that's like guarding that barrier says Sergeant Barnes. Yeah. And I love that. I love it so much. Because he's like getting respect for like the fact that he actually was served in the military and was like a hero, you know.
Also, another
lots of Bucky respect in this episode.
I do love that. And also another thing that very, very nearly after that, when he gets the phone with Carly on the other end. Mm-hmm. When she asks him, "Have you ever all that killing? Have you ever fought? Can you ever really say you fought for anything other than yourself, or fought for anything bigger than you?" That sort of thing.
Actually, like only.
Well, and he even says like that's all I've ever been doing. But like even if you like a cursory, like if you're if you're a subpar history student,
right,
you should still know that like World War II.
Right.
Like
yeah.
he fought Hitler.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and she's all about saying that Captain America is propaganda and all that, and so you should have some knowledge about World War II then.
But
you know,
I would almost think that, and look, maybe the show didn't really have time for this, but they did. Maybe not though, because they did have a direct phone call between these two characters. She should probably like Bucky, because he's like a version of Captain America who was never used for real propaganda, like not really,
right.
and he was also like right there doing the same stuff, like actually like fighting for this thing, and then he suffers for it.
Yeah, fighting fascists.
Like why?
And even when he is the Winter Soldier, he's still in a way fighting for something that's bigger than himself. You know, it's not like greed. It's not greed that's ever motivating him. It's just stupid. I do love that he gets like his Captain America moment, in the sense of like he does the Sam thing where he tries to sort of talk her off of this ledge, you know? Yeah. And that's, I mean, man, they did a good job like bringing the Steve out in both of them.
Oh, yeah. And I have a negative and a positive about kind of the episode overall, the look of it. I think it's a shame that it had to all be set at night. I think there's some really cool stuff.
All the action stuff?
Yeah, the whole, sequence with the vote and everything. I get why it had to be done. It makes sense for like effects and all that stuff, and maybe even timing, and for some cool shot stuff. But I don't know. Part of me just really wanted to see the new Captain America show up in the day, or like in just for the imagery of that, or like the sunrise or whatever. But on the other side of that, I really like that the entire fight is colored by those flashing red and blue police sirens, police lights, because there's a lot of imagery associated with those colors, but they're coming from police vehicles, and I think that really works on a thematic level.
Yeah, definitely. I like that. Let's talk about Sharon. I actually hate it. I really hate it.
Really hate it. All right, tell me why you, because it didn't really work for me. But tell me why it really didn't work for you.
For me, I just don't. I wasn't even necessarily invested in the twist of the power broker, right? Yeah. Like I didn't really care all that much. I just feel like it's a sort of dumb, distracting answer I don't know what it is about it, but there's something about it that just does not work for me.
Yeah.
I don't think the character's energy, having known the character in Winter Soldier and in Civil War, while she was definitely sort of duplicitous as she was a spy, she has never once come off as someone who would become like an evil crime lord. And she's also Peggy Carter's niece, and it just feels, I don't know, it just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me.
I think...
And the reveal feels really silly in the moment.
It is a very silly reveal.
Yeah.
It's one of those weird reveals where it's not actually being revealed to anyone in the room, except for, I guess, Batroc.
Yeah. Right. We'll talk. It really is for us.
We'll talk about my truest rage about Batroc in a moment. But I think that I think that the reason that it doesn't work for me, and look, I get it. I get why they did it, because a character like Sharon is clearly a relic of plans that they had before they had the track laid for Endgame.
Yeah.
She was a Captain America love interest. Then they realized they were going to do what they did with Captain America, and she stopped serving a purpose there. Yeah.
I realized why Steve didn't get her a pardon.
Why?
They thought she was blipped.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, they thought she was blipped, but she was actually in Madripoor. I remember at the beginning of Endgame, you see her face among the people missing.
Really?
And, yeah. So they really lucked out. They really lucked out with that in terms of a plot hole. Why didn't Steve get her a pardon? Another thing is that I feel like they've left a hole to where they can sort of weasel their way out of her actually being the power broker if they want to.
Yeah.
In the sense, she never actually says that she is. Only people around her, refer to her as such. And so if they decide that they want to make her as someone, either who was masquerading as the power broker or was working for the power broker, they can do that. It just doesn't fucking matter.
I think
honestly.
We're a little far down the road for that. I think she could still be doing something else while being the power broker.
Right.
But I do think... Okay, going back to before that whole thing, I do get the impetus for it because she stopped serving a purpose for the narrative. She was never developed really as much as she should have been for how many times she appeared.
And the big moment with Sharon Carter in the comics was never gonna make sense anymore. So
so I get being like, okay, we don't have any plans for this character. Why not make her like a bad guy for a while? Give her some stuff to do that's interesting. But it feels like that. It feels like that conversation in the room of being like, well, we gotta find something for this character to do, I guess.
Yeah, it's that, and then moving forward with her, like, there's nothing. I'm not compelled by her as a villain for something, you know?
No.
Like, it's setting her up as to be a villain in Captain America 4, or a Thunderbolts villain, or a U.S. agent villain, or there's maybe a Nomad series for Bucky that's in the works, actually. And maybe she's the villain for that. And not one of those projects am I like, that sounds like she would be really compelling and interesting, exciting. Because we know the motivation. She's just angsty. That's it, you know?
There's got to be something you could do with... Maybe she's a Skrull.
I saw that. It was like, this is a Skrull pretending to be Sharon, who is pretending to be a big crime lord, you know?
I think the only way to really... I think the only one of those that sounds interesting to me... I think she could work as a new kind of... saying Fury style isn't really correct, but a new kind of agency head who has a lot of, like, behind-the-scenes power and is pulling strings to make things happen that are good for her. And other characters are, like, getting tripped up by that, and she's just this general force of, like, of injuring people and stuff. I think as a counter to the Thunderbolts, or maybe a person involved with the Thunderbolts, if what's her name? Contessa. What's her name?
Val. We'll call her Val. But don't call her Val.
Don't call her Val. But it's fine. You can call her Val. Val, if Val isn't directly the Thunderbolts person, because it seems like she's doing something a little bit different with U.S. Agent.
See, for me, I think she's definitely doing Thunderbolts. Actually.
Okay, so you think she's also going to be grabbing Zemo?
Yeah, I think so.
That'll be interesting then. I was thinking that Sharon could be an antagonist for them, or another person involved in making the Thunderbolts a thing.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I would be interested in that she's not like a full out villain necessarily, but she is like playing the game to benefit her own interests. Yeah. You know.
And she's if you're gonna have her take on anybody as an actual villain, I think she's probably the most interesting against Bucky, because he actually was friends with Peggy and seems to be friends with her more than pretty much anybody else that's currently around.
Right. Yeah.
I could see that. Maybe. I don't know.
The reason why I feel pretty certain... Let's talk about the U.S. agent stuff. So the reason why I feel pretty certain that Val is doing Thunderbolts-related things is because she's saying things like, we're going to need a U.S. agent rather than a Captain America. We're going to need a Black Ops kind of guy that does the same thing. And so that really makes me feel like she's setting up a Thunderbolts thing, or she's going to be sending him specifically on missions to deal with stuff, maybe even related to like Secret Invasion, possibly, which could be really cool. Yeah. Things are getting weird, so yeah.
I think the thing that, and we're verging on Thunderbolts pitch territory, which is going to be a whole other thing we want to do. But it could be interesting if Val is kind of her like pet project is this U.S. agent guy, and then you get Sharon coming in and like poaching him almost, and making Val, who seems like this kind of very morally ambiguous, she's got Hydra ties in the comics character, who feels really powerful. The only character who can like match her there as like a thorn in her side, like, God, I hate her, is Sharon. I think that could make her more fun. Is if you've got that kind of tug of war dynamic, and that could be the background that the Thunderbolts are playing in front of.
Definitely.
Can we talk about one of the things that I think works the absolute best in the show, and I think generally works the best in the entire series, is
also the U.S. agent suit looks wonderful.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah,
it looks so good.
But that thing is the Isaiah Bradley
story
and wrap up here.
I think for me, top 3 things about the show. Isaiah Bradley has got to be 1 or 2.
Yeah, I mean, every time we go back to meet him again, it's just great. It's
all
it's
3
the
of
heart
his
the
big
show.
scenes are excellent. So
Yeah, I loved his conversation with Sam. I love that he's not 100% on board with this, but he can tell that this kid, he's got something special.
It's
and
the real deal.
Yeah, and then the wrap up at the museum is beautiful. It is. I almost thought a big part of me thought that the last shot of the show was going to be that closing in on the statue and then fading out. But I'm kind of glad it wasn't, because I really like the little
Little tag.
little kind of end bit there with
Yeah.
Sam and Bucky and and all of his family and the whole town and stuff. And I don't know, that was really fun. I love the one bit in that where Bucky is talking to the sister and he's holding his arm up and there's 3 kids hanging off of it.
Yep, I love that. What I love about that scene, I think the most, is that there's no dialogue or anything, but you get to see Sam in his element, people celebrating him, celebrating in general, and you also get to see Bucky with a genuine, real smile on.
Yeah.
Like socializing and being happy and
he
having a
food.
life.
He brought food.
He brought a little cake.
He
brought a cake, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I think it's great to see him have kind of a community now of people.
Absolutely.
And, yeah.
And I really truly ship Bucky and Sam's sister. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think my favorite shot in this show might be the shot of Sam descending with Carly in his arms. And God, I wish she was a better character.
Yeah.
Because
if she was a character that you had an actual sort of visceral emotional reaction to her death, that shot would hit even harder.
I mean, it's gorgeous. It's the whole angel thing and it's great.
Post-credit scene was silly for me.
Yeah, it's whatever. But the Zemo wrap-up is very fun.
It is very fun, yeah.
The fact that his butler just fucking blows them up.
Yep. And also, well, here's a thought. There's a possibility that, so Val, sees the news, right, on her phone.
Yeah.
And then she, I think she's mostly joking, but you could maybe read into it. She's like, I didn't plan that. Or did I? No, I didn't. Maybe.
I very much got the sense that she had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
but I like
if she did, it could connect to Thunderbolt's idea of well, she's talked to Zemo. She's clearly had a conversation with Zemo. But True. It is hilarious that his fucking butler did it for him.
It's so good, and it's the second time that Zemo has abruptly cut off a red herring tease for future projects. It's so fun that they're gonna get broken out. It's and it just.
Yeah, I really because when the guard says one world, one people with them, I was just like, oh, whatever, I don't give a shit.
No.
And then when they blew up, I was like, yeah!
But hey, a moment of silence, because we will never again hear the words, Callie Morgenthau.
Callie.
Speaking of moments of silence and remembrance, Batroc does not live.
The building.
He Batroc dies. Actually, hashtag Batroc dies.
Quite funny that we started this whole journey off with a hashtag of Batroc lives, only for Batroc to actually die at the end of the show.
He died very violently, doing what he loved though,
extorting people,
and
being
not
French.
Kicking. Not leaping or anything. I wish he had been shot out of the air mid-leap.
That would have been... and if you talk to Batroc, that's how he would have wanted to go.
Yeah. He's got the gun to Carly, and then he's got a foot up toward Sharon.
Yep. It would have been really dope. He actually died in a freeze frame.
He did. Down. Bow, bow. It's got yeah, that's me.
Wonderful. Unfortunately, he's not going to be on our Thunderbolts team.
No.
I was hoping for that.
That sucks. But what about zombie Batroc?
Now
Batroc the Reaper.
Oh man, you're speaking my language now.
I'm stealing that. I made it up, but I'm stealing it also. I'm copywriting it. It's mine.
Where do you think we will get our next member of a prospective Thunderbolts?
I think my guess is... I got 2 guesses there. I think that whoever Ms. Marvel's villain is not going to be killed by Ms. Marvel.
Really?
So I think there's a.
You're saying that the 15-year-old won't commit a murder
isn't gonna just like strangle someone to death in the show? No, I don't think
with
so.
big giant hands.
So depending on if there's like a physical antagonist there, I think that might be a good Thunderbolts candidate. They'll probably be somewhat redeemable. Maybe a friend of hers, you know.
Yeah. I think it will definitely, there will be a villain in Hawkeye that becomes a member of the Thunderbolts. And also Clint. So I wonder if they'll actually call it the Thunderbolts, though.
Oh, they must, right?
Maybe.
That's a cool time. Oh, well, though I guess the Thunderbolts comes very directly from Thunderbolt Ross.
One guy.
He's got to be involved.
He would have to be involved, yeah. For sure.
Who do you think?
He probably very, very much so is involved. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think? Do you wanna kind of tease where we might take a Thunderbolts thing, throw out one existing character who you'd really like to see on the Thunderbolts team outside of obviously Zemo and US Agent? Just grab one of like a character you think would be really cool.
I've said Ghost. I think Ghost would be wonderful.
Yeah.
But I want to do a different one.
Yeah. I think the one that I've been saying the most is Abomination. I still stand by that. I think that'd be great.
I kind of expect that, honestly.
But I think if we take those two off the table, because they're the most commonly talked about, can I be honest that you know how they brought Coulson back from the dead using that like alien Kree blood or whatever mixed with whatever? I'm kind of on board the Batroc the Reaper train.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
Batroc lives again. Hashtag Batroc lives again. God damn it.
Well, you know, we never saw Lamar's body.
I pretty quickly stopped caring about and remembering who Lamar was. We did say that this would be a compliment sandwich. And we should each have one final compliment, I think.
Perhaps White Vision could be a Thunderbolt.
I gotta go and sit with that for a while, I think.
I think it wouldn't necessarily be a Thunderbolt thing. But
here's my person, Agatha.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, that's a great idea. Oh, I had another thought. So we got Sharon Carter, and she is clearly this, whatever this is now. And we have a Don Cheadle show called Armor Wars coming up about weaponry getting into the wrong hands.
Oh, yeah.
Could Sharon Carter be an antagonistic force in Armor Wars? And could White Vision be a MacGuffin of that show?
I don't know about White Vision, but I am 100% sure that Sharon's going to be involved in that, because just in the context of the universe, if you've got War Machine, who's basically the only Team Iron Man character left, like active in this universe right now, who is like still under the Accords, which may or may not still exist. I don't really know. I guess not really. So his tech is probably partially owned by the government or by whatever. It would make sense for him to have to face off against like an inside person in the government who has taken that tech and is sending it somewhere else.
Right.
That is exactly what Sharon's plan is at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Well, my final compliment for the show is that I think overall it was a very good show. I think the conversations that it was willing to have as a Marvel blockbuster show were very bold and very important, and I think they were very good. Going with the Isaiah Bradley story was a big risk, but it was necessary, and I'm glad that they had the boldness to do it. And so I think for me, that stuff outweighs the fact that the Flag Smashers don't really work, and all the other Sharon Carter nonsense that doesn't really work. The good outweighs the bad for me.
I 100% agree. I think that the central conversation in this show that really needed to be done well and directly about what that symbol means, where it has failed us, and what it means for a black man to take that up, is really almost perfectly done, I think. It's done as well as it could be done in this show. And I think
for sure
it is So I have seen some of the backlash. I haven't seen a ton of it, probably just because our algorithms kind of insulate us from that sort of thing most of the time. But
I deleted my Twitter, so
yeah, well, just don't go on Twitter. But I've seen some of the backlash to it, and it makes me happy because that's what you want. You want people to have to face stuff like this in blockbuster cinema and to have to address it and deal with it and think about it. And it probably didn't change 90% of people's minds, 95% of people's minds, 98% of people's minds, but that 2% ain't that bad.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I think this
Absolutely.
was a very positive force to choose to attempt with your show.
Yeah, definitely. Well, please be sure to like, rate, subscribe, hit the bell, do all those things. Give us a comment, ask a question. What would you like us to pitch? We might start a new series about I'm a musician and a film composer, and so we've been talking about starting a new series about me writing themes for characters and movies that don't exist yet, and let us know if that would be something you'd be interested in. It's something I'm excited about. We might post one of those coming very, very soon. So
Heck yeah.
But thank you for being here.
Let us know, real quick, how best you would want Batroc to be brought back to life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And which
There's
of the
many
big
ways.
three would it involve?
Mm-hmm. Would Batroc become an alien, an android, or a wizard?
Or an alien,
sorcerer.
android, wizard.
All three in one.
Yeah.
Well,
See ya.
see ya.